just pull this up. Cool. That. Pull this up. All right. Yep. So I guess thanks everyone for dialing in. Today we've got Stephen Thatcher from the Green Building Council of Australia and Liam Murray from BuildApps presenting on Power Platform solution they've created for the Green Building Council of Australia. So you might have seen click through to the publicly available Power BI report. They'll be discussing the whole sort of solution in terms of how it came about and the concept design. Just a bit of housekeeping in terms of the Teams space. So just please make sure you're on mute. Feel free to type your questions in the chat as you go through. There'll be an opportunity to ask questions for both Liam and Stephen. Session's being recorded, and as usual, we'll share it through the blogs. And if you need to zoom in on any material, you can hold down Control and scroll on your mouse when the presenters are sharing their screen. Just like to acknowledge the traditional landowners of the Boon Wurrung and the Bunurong people, the Kulin Nation. That's the local traditional owners from where we're dialing in, down in the Mornington Peninsula, Victoria. So Discovery Eye, both Alice and I are the co-founders and directors of Discovery Eye, and we sort of sponsor the event. In terms of the work that we do, we largely focus in Power BI training mentoring for the environmental and water industry. We also have part of our team, Daniel Marsh-Patrick, who can support in building custom visuals for Power BI. Also the end-to-end reporting solutions. We have a graphic designer as part of our team for that communication piece, and also the ability to sort of create custom web apps. So if you haven't heard of us, feel free to have a look. And as I mentioned, today's agenda. So we're using the Power Platform to assess sustainability of Australian green buildings. Liam and Stephen will discuss a bit more of the tech. There's a link here that's also in the on the meetup page if you wanted to have a look at the sort of front end solution Power BI report. But to be honest, without sort of further ado, Liam and Stephen, I'm happy to hand it over to both of yourselves, and feel free to take it away from here, please.
Okay, thank you guys. So what I plan to do is before I sort of get into the actual platform and what we've actually built on the platform itself, I just thought it'd be good to give everyone a bit of an overview of the Green Building Council and Greens Star itself. So I'll just share my screen and just bring up a brief presentation just to provide a bit of context for you all. So that it will just make a bit more sense when I'm going into the platform and you can sort of see where we've come from. But I'll try to get through this part of it quite quickly so we can actually show you the actual application itself. So can everyone see my screen now?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, great. Okay, so there's a bit about the GBCA. So the GBCA was formed in 2002. We're an industry association that has around 600 member organisations, and sort of we're being put in place to, I guess, drive the sustainable transformation of the Australian property sector. So we are quite a powerful organisation. In terms of our board members, I'm very senior, as you can see on this slide. We've got the CEO of Mervac, CEO of Cbus Property. So we've got a lot of, I guess, powerful people sitting on the organisation's board. From the organisation's membership base, as I said, we've got around 600 organisations, and they range from your typical property members, so whether it be your construction companies to your consulting firms, but also we've got there a lot of product manufacturers, a lot of schools and universities. So what does the Green Building Council do? Well, we rate, we advocate, we educate, and we collaborate. And what we're going to be looking at today is more the rating part of the business, which is Green Star. I guess the drivers of Green Star. So Green Star is driven by a number of different factors, such as the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, and a number of other organisations. And I guess sort of what those organisations are doing and their ambitions has been factored into the way we've built the Green Star rating system. I guess sort of Green Star sets the standard for sustainable development within Australia to drive, improves sustainability outcomes for the property sector. Around about 50% of the ASX top 50 companies use Green Star. So you can see there some of the organisations which use Green Star on a regular basis. Green Star rating tools. We've got essentially 4 rating tools. Green Star Communities, which assesses the environmental attributes of a community. Green Star Buildings, which is around the design and construction or refurbishment of a building. The interiors, which is to do with a interior fit out of a building, and then the ongoing performance of an existing building. So the first version, which I'm going to show you of the platform, is really focused on the buildings tool. But I guess where it gets exciting with the platform and being able to start really using the power of it is sort of when we go into building the performance tool. So Green Star, sort of since we started, it's been gradually gaining traction over the last 18 to 20 years. And as you can see, sort of once we released the performance rating tool in 2014, we saw a huge increase in certifications based on the performance tool. So we have recently undertaken an update to the Green Star rating scheme, and that's sort of essentially the way the rating scheme works is it assesses a project across these 8 different categories, and a project will need to meet a certain set of criteria and provide relevant information so that we can issue a Green Star rating. And the new version of Green Star is much more. It's a broader tool in terms of that it's now starting to capture a few categories that weren't previously, such as the people category. So we're sort of trying to be more holistic in our approach. In terms of the actual rating scheme itself, so we can give out a 4 and a 5 and a 6-star rating, and under the new tool, say to get a 6-star rating, we've really increased the actual benchmarks of the tool, so that going forward to get a 6-star Green Star rating, the whole building would need to be powered by renewables, for example. Current challenge with Green Star. So previous versions of Green Star, from a user point of view, wasn't a pleasant experience in terms of quite complicated, as you can see from this PowerPoint slide. There were the PDF emission guidelines, which show, I guess, sort of the requirements of the tool. Then the user would need to complete various Word documents, complete various Excel calculators, develop a scorecard, which was through Excel, and then sort of providing that information to us, and was sort of quite complicated. And then there's a high volume of email. So what we wanted to do was streamline that process and really take a focus on our on the data we're collecting, because currently all of the valuable green data sits within these various Excel or Word documents, so not very useful. So I guess sort of our key focus area when trying to reinvigorate Green Star was to have a real strong focus on the way we collect data, the way we share it, and sort of, I guess, the benefits we can provide to the industry around Green Star and the way it can assist organisations in getting towards a net zero future. So this is where we partnered with Build Apps to build the Green Star platform in the Microsoft environment. And what I'm about to show you is the platform and the technology we've used within the platform. Obviously is we've developed the applications within the Power Apps environment, and that consists of both the Canvas applications and also a model-driven application. We obviously use the Microsoft Dataverse, or formerly the Common Data Service, and we use SharePoint and Power BI. So now to get into, I guess, the bit that everyone's here to see is the application in itself. So as you would have seen from the presentation just before, Green Star is a rating system where people will apply to us to register a project, and they have to, I guess, submit certain pieces of evidence in accordance with the rating tool. So if I say here, you'll be seeing a Power App Canvas application, which is sitting within our existing website, and then if I say click into a particular project, you can get an overview of the project, and then the user can obviously go to the submissions area, and you'll see across the top of the screen here, once it loads, the various categories that were in the PowerPoint presentation, and then all the different requirements of the credits that sit within this category. And the user can go through and essentially build a scorecard, and then complete all the required pieces of evidence. All the information that is applied is being captured in the Microsoft Dataverse, which will then allow, I guess, much greater capabilities from a reporting point of view, and I guess sort of a lot more possibilities from an automation point of view going forward as well. So if we take, for example, the positive category, there's various requirements around within this category here around reduction in your carbon emissions or your energy use. So let's say take the energy use category for an example. There are various pathways a project could take for a particular project. In this example here, the pathway that's been taken is the reducing energy use. And if we can go into here, this will take you to the various submission forms within the tool. So previously, all of this was provided in a Word document, and the user would need to complete an energy calculator that was in Microsoft Excel. But as you can see here now, the calculators are actually part of the platform. So if I was to go in here and to launch the calculator, this would take me to another Canvas application where we've been able to build a calculator to to capture the various energy data on that project. And all of these calculators are then integrated back into the rating application. So in terms of a user experience, opposed to having to, I guess, complete hundreds of pieces of the documentation, collate that together, we've been able to consolidate all of that into, I guess, one solution. And then obviously after you've completed that calculator, you can push the results through, and all of those results are then saved within the submission forms. And I think currently within the tool itself, there's around 5 or 6 different calculators, and all of them have been built within the Power Platform. And the other parts we've been able to do within the application too is the document management solution. So you can see here there's these little sort of paper clips here are essentially gives the users the ability to upload the various supporting pieces of evidence that are required within the Green Star tool. And when I say, if I was to navigate to the document uploading tab, I've already got that open. Here the users can manage the required documentation, and it can be actually tagged against there are multiple areas within the rating tool. So we can click on this first document here. You can see it's been tagged against a specific piece of evidence. And then if I say click on another piece of evidence, this document here has been tagged against other pieces of evidence within the rating tool. So it's also a document management solution to sort of so that a Green Star user has one place where all their project requirements are kept, and all the documentation is kept and stored as well. So previously, Green Star users would have had to consolidate all of these pieces of documentation into one big folder and provide that to us. So quite a time-consuming process. And obviously, all the data that sits within the rating tool and the platform, because it's in the Microsoft environment, means that we can integrate Power BI to it. And I guess this is where the real power is going to come in the future, in that for the industry and for the users, they can get great insights that will assist them on their sustainability journey, be able to measure their impact going forward. So for example, if I click into the project dashboard here, we've currently only got one dashboard sitting in there currently, but obviously over a period of time, we want to really expand our the capabilities here to be able to provide greater insights to project teams and the industry as well. So you can see here, this dashboard here is just showing, I guess, the various credits this project is targeting, and I guess sort of what the potential points are, and then after a certification's been undertaken, I guess, where they were successful in achieving their points. And the other capability we have built into the platform is, and we want to expand over a period of time, is to include some basic project management capabilities. which is where a user can assign particular people that are on the project team responsibility for pieces of evidence. So if I go back to the submissions tab, you would have seen previously there was a little peep or icon sitting next to pieces of evidence, and this is where pieces of evidence can be assigned to a particular user. So if they're a contact on a project, you can assign responsibility to that particular person, and they can provide commentary, etc. So, and again, all of the information that's captured within this part of the platform will then be turned into various Power BI reports to assist the users in the management of the process. I guess that's sort of a brief overview of the platform. I guess before I sort of open up for any questions, I guess just open up, or Liam, if you wanted to provide any other insights there, because obviously I don't have an IT background, I guess. So I wasn't involved in the actual building of this personally, or don't have all the tech understanding. So I just like to pass over to Liam for any other for any other bits.
Yeah. Now the thing I'd probably say about the project is from day one it was always about creating a low-code solution that their team could modify if they do a rebrand. So all of the actual interfaces and all of the Canvas apps, we build ugly Canvas apps first of all, give them to their marketing team, and they make them look beautiful. If we'd have shown you what we built first of all, and we're putting in the FX code and doing that, and it's very much about, they can go and do 90% of what they need to do themselves. And similar, a lot of people skip out the step of using the model driven app, whereas the model driven apps, the way that they internally manage all these when they get a new rating and do all their cross checks on it. So it was a lot of other projects that we've got on, people just want to see the fancy Canvas app, whereas this is what underpins it all, and it's really important. And I think it probably took the first 2 months of the project to get the internal team to get out of Canvas app and go really understand your model in here and where you're going with it. We'd so the reason for the project going down the Microsoft route was, as all good things happen in my world, I sail a lot, and I was on a boat with Davina, the CEO, and she was saying they're thinking about it, but it's going to cost a fortune and all this. And we already had basically 85% of this built within one of our apps called Sergey for managing the rating tools. And we said, look, we'll just give that to GBCA, and we're doing similar with the IS rating scheme. So for infrastructure, the new IS, well, they've just changed from being called ISCA to the Infrastructure Council. They're going to use the same base tool, and then we've built, added extra fields and customizations in here, and then built a beautiful Canvas app over the top of it. One of the messiest things probably was the extensivity of some of the calculators, and once FX got officially released, then we could use all the functionality. It made life a bit easier, but before that, things were a little bit difficult with certain calculations that you were trying to do. So that was probably one of the difficulties. And then the other bit is probably the licensing, because we touch every single license that you can think about, because it's using the Dataverse, we've got to have a Power BI Pro, but then we can't do that with the public. So, and they're a not-for-profit, so we've had to effectively rent server space off someone to skin it up. And the same access in the apps, the per apps license is very grey, and we had to seek we had to reach out to Redmond and go, what are we supposed to do? We did try. I answered it in the side. So the actual proof of concept to get them to understand it would work, we built a portal, and the portal's just really poor, to be honest. The Power Portals aren't at a point that you can make something that's up to a standard that the client would want. It's great for it's great for just a quick input. But if you want to have really custom things, and that's one bit I think in the next years, hopefully the portal will get slicker.
And I guess there too as well, I think, I think we had a go at digitizing one of our previous versions of Green Star in about 2014, 2015. We spent a fortune. It failed miserably. And I think when we were embarking on this journey again a year and a half ago, I was actually looking at Power Apps, and it seemed to, from everything I could see, it seemed to look like it could potentially do what we were after. But it was all very new at that stage, and with me not having a technical background, I was nervous with going down a path there. But thankfully, the CEO introduced me to Liam, and here we are now. And in terms of the costing compared to what we spent last time to where we are currently, it's hugely reduced. And even if we had have gone with another third party, it still wouldn't resolve our, I guess, strategy around having greater control and ownership of the Green Star data we're capturing, so that we can do more with our data internally, give it back to our customers, of course, and be able to, really see the impact that we are having on the industry as we try to achieve a net zero future.
And we've got really good interest from Microsoft themselves as well. So off the back of this, Microsoft have got their sustainability. Leon and a few of the guys are really trying to push it. They're really keen on what we're doing here, and vice versa. I think they weren't doing it, but they committed to a Green Star fit out for their fit out in the new head office. So so it opened that dialogue for actually trying to push these things.
Yeah, and I think sort of once we got in front of some of their senior people and were able to present what we're trying to achieve and what we've been able to achieve so far, obviously they become very interested, and they see the alignment with their strategy and what we're trying to achieve with Green Star. So we're now classified as one of their deep engagement partners for the next year or so at the Microsoft Technology Centre in Sydney. So once we release the MVP in September, we're going to be having a number of sessions with the Microsoft team around how we can further utilize the technology within the platform to achieve our overall objectives over the next year or two. So that might be when we're developing the performance tool, which is around the capturing the data on an existing building and the way it's operating over the course of a year, how we can use the various tools, whether it be artificial intelligence or the direct connections into different building systems to, I guess, sort of grab the data that's required to get a Green Star performance rating, so that it's much more automated from a Green Star user point of view, and it will also give access to information in a much more timely fashion, so we can make, I guess, more informed choices, and also to around the integration possibilities with all the various global rating schemes that our customers are also utilizing. So, for example, people that use Green Star would also be using the GRESB rating tool, which is the Global Real Estate Sustainability Benchmarking Scheme, which essentially rates real estate portfolios against other portfolios all over the world, and the Green Star scheme is recognised within the GRES scheme, and we ask for a lot of similar info. So this will make that process in being able to essentially get the information out of our platform into the GRES platform in a much more streamlined fashion.
Yeah, and similar, somebody asked the question about Neighbours. Neighbours, we actually offered to build theirs and give them the IP, but being government, they said they couldn't take it off us. So Neighbours went down the Salesforce route, and they took 2.5 years to build, and theirs is out in public now. So the Neighbours rating actually does form part of these energy credits within the Green Star submission itself. So yeah, we're still trying to get them to give us reference tables to do the API, but we're ready when they're ready. So it's all about that data connectivity of passing from one to the other.
Yeah, no, that was a really great story. Thank you so much for sharing, Stephen and Liam. I think it's really powerful just to show kind of the power of the Power Platform when you're using all of these kind of technologies together, and hear about your own kind of journey from the first kind of prototype app, which maybe if it's a custom or third-party solution, it might not meet all of the different needs, and then just showing just how flexible the Power Platform can be, especially when you're working collaboratively with the client, like what you've been doing, Liam. That's awesome. And then to get Microsoft involved as well, that's a really nice kind of close the loop circle.
Well, I think sort of once we get the MVP out, there'll hopefully be a bit of a customer story coming up for us around it there. Because when we sort of presented, they were very keen to do something, but just wanted to wait till we had the EP out there. But I think Liam, you might recall that when we showed them the first time, and they sort of like, you did this in Power Apps, and we're like, yeah. They're like, oh, I haven't seen anything like this before. And we're like, yeah, not in Power Apps.
Yeah.
Isn't that the biggest compliment when you get that? It's like, I didn't know Power Apps could do that. Or I didn't know Power BI could do that. It's very, very cool. Look, we do have a few questions for the last 10, 15 minutes, guys. Sure. I think if we want to go through maybe Michael Berry. Michael, did you want to come off mute and just ask a few of your questions, mate?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So one of the questions that came up, I used to do a lot of environmental reporting, and I was involved with Neighbours and stuff like that. But one of the biggest problems is dealing with manually input data. So how do you deal with that, like people typing the wrong things? Do you have data validation built into the application?
There is in some aspects and not in others, because effectively all it is a question and answer where it serves up a certain restriction on the type of answer they can put in. But then we have started to now put over this particular question answer can only be within these thresholds. So there is to a certain element, but it's not your traditional in Dynamics, because there's not a field for every question answer. It's just question answer, but we choose which box to display on. Does it display a calculator, or is it yes, no? So yeah, the answer is yes and no, but the idea is that will build over time, and we've already got, for one of the credits, you have to show all the metering, and you have to take pictures of the meters. We've already built in Vision to recognize it's actually a meter, so the AI can see the picture and say, yep, it's a meter. So things like that, and there's going to be loads more of those where people go, let's just, rather than someone having to open up and check it's a picture, or check the bills, the utility bills in the performance tool, just reading it with the form recognizer. It's remove as much as the manual stuff as you can.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's the direction that Microsoft's heading. We keep seeing AI sneaking into all these different areas. So yeah, no, that's amazing. We've got a question from Roland. So Roland said that this looks really great. Thanks a lot for the demo. It's clear to see that a lot of thinking went into the whole product and system. Given it's all based around Microsoft products and the Power Platform, would you say it's easier, or it's easy to customize and adjust if a certain criteria changes? So let's say either from the accrediting point of view or from behind the door calculation perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's all driven by the model-driven app, which is like the Sergi app that we'd already built, was planned to say, look, like all rating systems in the world are the same, no matter what it is. I've done that many of them across different building types. They're all, it's got a name, then it's got a scheme edition, then it's got a category, then it's a credit, then it's some credit questions, and then it's some evidence. And that's all the hierarchy is, and slide in as you need and reward certain points as you need. And it took us a while to get the team internally to understand that historically they'd go 1.1.1.1.1 because they just wanted to layer it really deep. And I'm like, well, why? We can just say this is row 3, but really it's just a bit of evidence you're asking for. So trying to go from that 7 deep structure that they were doing when it was just a document to go, right, we've only really got 4 layers to the cake.
And I guess the one thing is, like, when we did the last digital project, we did the proper scoping, where we spent, months scoping it all out to every bit of detail, then would see it put in front of us. We're like, oh, that's not exactly what we wanted. That's what you thought we wanted, but we want to change that. Then we'll go, well, that'll cost you $100,000 and we need changes here. And whereas now, because we've built this so flexibly and modular, so if we wanted to change a question, I could go in there and change that straight away now, push it through, because it's like a kit of parts, I guess. So as Liam was just saying there, so we can change the type of question. Is it a short answer? Is it a long answer? Is it connecting to another calculator field? All that's quite simplistic and easy to unchange. So it gives the GBCA team much greater power and control going forward. And the way the guys that build ups have structured the platform is that it's very flexible to adapt to all of our rating tools. Whilst we've been sort of working through this over the last year or so, and I'm sure that getting us up to speed has been a bit frustrating and challenging sometimes, but sort of, I guess, now we're all on that same page, is that bringing in the other tools is going to be so much quicker and easier due to that flexible approach and the way that the guys have structured it for us. And I think now the team are starting to see the rationale now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's a really good point you make, Stephen. It's not just about the ability to create a platform and solution that works, but you get the added benefit of all of the on-the-job training, the upskilling, the empowerment, so you can really own that app now moving forward. That's awesome.
Because I mean, being able to control, have understanding of say 90% means you don't have to go back to Liam for like every individual element, and it's more the complex or like how can we enhance it? Then you get that engagement and continue. So that's a great story, guys. Fantastic.
And I think Praveen's question kind of builds on this. So it's a question for you, Stephen. With the last attempt at a software build, the one that didn't work, what was this based on? Was that Dynamics as well? So it kind of sounds like it was a custom application.
Yeah, it was look, I wasn't involved in that side, so I was financial controller then. It was built on a .NET solution, custom built. And I think that was when we first released performance, and there was a range of factors. I think it was a large chunk of it was the technology and the platform and the direction we took it in, but also it was the way we built the tool as well. The tool wasn't as the performance tools changed a lot since we released that first one too. So the tool's more flexible and we've got a greater understanding of what we needed to do, I guess. But it was around that we didn't have any control or visibility. And whereas with this process here, it's been a much greater partnership with the build-ups team.
Yeah, and I think the fact that my background, I've done a lot of Green Star before I went down this software route, meant I could not push back, but push back. There was times that they're like, because you guys are in the water space, for the rainfall, they wanted for a water calculator, the rainfall from the bombs files every single day to be calculated to work out, and obviously they collect the rainfall and then they work out how much gets used in a building, but what gets used in the building is based on just a per day for the whole year. But the rainfall obviously is just a generic rainfall per day, and that would mean we'd have to do 365 calcs in real time to change stuff. And we just went, look, can we just do summer month of rainfall, and then divide it by the number of days in the month to display it. And it took a long time and then it doesn't actually make sense, because when you actually think back to it, that's just a subjective rainfall. It doesn't rain the same amount on every day. So it was trying to get them to go, look, we're trying to digitalize it and make it better, which means sometimes you do have to compromise on. Before it was just an Excel spreadsheet that did each project's calculations, and it was quick and easy, but it had 1,000 inputs that we're trying to calculate. And when you do that in a database, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, you got to pick the battles and always think what impact this will have on the end calculation as well. You don't want to overcomplicate it, because then it's not as flexible and easy to update as well.
And maybe sorry, I was going to say we might have time. Just Jacob's written in a pretty interesting question, actually. Do you see insights eventually being able to include recommendations, like opportunities to collect some low-hanging green star points for consumers?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're already working on the Power BI dashboards to collect all the past stuff as well, to say these. So and that's the real power that organizations can go, well, what do we typically get? At the minute, all they know is they typically get a 5-star, or like we do a lot with Stocklands. Stocklands always do 4.5 star, and they've got 6 credits which they mandate as a company. Other than that, they've got no idea how they answer any of the questions. Whereas now we can go, well, how do you normally answer this question? Let's not reinvent the wheel or pay a different consultant to say something else. We'll supply you with what we always do. Here's our procurement guidelines. Here's our, it's already pre-ticked off. So that bit, and then sharing the wider industry, going, 72% people get this credit. And the having that conversation around dropping credits if no one's ever getting them. There must be something, it must be too hard or too expensive, or the value's not there. Yeah. So you either drop it or you make it worth more points. It's the simple one or the other. You reevaluate them.
Yeah. And I guess also with the performance tool as well there too, like there'll be opportunities there once we're using the platform to see the way certain buildings are performing, and then, okay, well, here's what we're seeing across different portfolios. Where's the area to focus on to get the greater sustainability return going forward. So at the moment, that's just not possible, I guess.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Probably got time for maybe just one last question from Praveen. Do you have automated testing, and what tool do you use as part of the solution?
Yeah, so we've got the ALM set up now, but obviously when we kicked this off, it wasn't very mature, let's say. So it's in place now, and all the pipelines within DevOps are set up now, but we kicked this off, nearly 18 months ago, and at that point, the COE wasn't even usable. So yeah, it's progressing, and we are trying to add in them new bits and do what we can, but yeah. A lot of it has been to Stephen's thingy, him testing stuff again and again, and a lot of manual user testing. Even though we asked so many questions, because like we kind of said, it's that plug and play system, you've only actually got to ask 4 times and it's going to work through the whole thing. So it's even though it seems like it's got lots of depth to it, that's an illusion with categorizing things.
It's probably the calculators where there's the where there's the biggest part to go in and testing, because that's where the complexity is. So, like essentially testing, can you upload a document? Well, if you can upload it in one of the credits, you should be able to upload it across, I guess, all of them. Yeah. But yes, the calculators where we've sort of seen that there's the biggest challenge, I guess, because I think the water calculator, as Liam pointed out to me, and I was like, oh my god, we're asking for 1,000 different inputs in one calculator. I'm going, what, really? I just hadn't.
just to give you potentially 6 points.
Yeah.
And people are like, what are you actually? And that's it's that bit of what's the real outcome?
Yeah, I think going through the process has opened up a lot of our eyes, and we're going, oh, okay, well, I think just in the tool itself, we've got, I think, there's about over 1,000 pieces of evidence or different questions within the rating tool itself. Then that's not including the calculators. And I didn't realize that until we were actually going through this process and went, well, if you look at it, that's what we're asking for. It's a hell of a lot of info.
Definitely. So thank you so much. We've got a question from Michael Barry, and I think this would be for lots of people on the call. Michael said, I'd love to get Green Star in front of kind of people at his workspace, his sustainability squad. What's the best way to get in touch with yourself, maybe Stephen and even Liam.
And yeah, I was going to say on top of that, if possible, when we put the recording in the blog, if it's possible to put those contact or details in there, if you guys are happy with that.
Yeah, of course. Very happy, you know, and also too, like whether I'm the right person at the GBCA, but I can point people in the right direction depending on what their questions are, or so that's not a problem.
Perfect. No, that's great.
And yeah, going to the website. There's a hell of a lot of events that the GBCA run, and like Stephen said, it's the rating tools one part of it, but there's a lot of advocacy and people doing sessions, and yeah, the Green Building Day when people come in and speak, and yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
And also too, I guess what we're also trying to achieve just beyond Green Star is that the longer term strategy is to bring all of our key business processes and systems onto the Microsoft platform, so that, you know, from a customer point of view, if you're a Stockland or a Mirvac, you can see, you know, all your Green Star projects, all your membership, all your staff that are part of the GBCA, what courses they've attended. So they've got that 360-degree view of info. We've all got it in a structured approach with all of our data, so that we can do more for us and for our members, because at the moment it's very fragmented, I guess, and sits in different areas. And so, you know, that's the long-term strategy. We're still working out exactly how we will get there, because at the end of the day we're still a relatively small organization, so it's just trying to break it down into bite-sized chunks as we go through it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, thank you so much. You're getting a lot of love in the chat. Everyone, I think, has really appreciated seeing a real world example of the Power Platform. We tend to focus on Power BI in this meetup, but it's so nice to see it kind of go hand in hand with Power Apps and Automate and things like that. So yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today. For everyone on the call, we will share the recording and maybe a short kind of summary on our blog, just if you did miss any of the key points or you wanted to show anyone else at your organization. I'll just quickly start sharing screens again so we can see what we've got coming up. So next month, Christian and I will be presenting with a special guest as well, on environmental data storytelling in Power BI. So sharing lots of kind of tips and tricks to share your environmental kind of data stories. So all the fun graphical elements of Power BI. So if you want to catch up on a previous session, we've got them all up on our blog or YouTube page as well. But yeah, no, thank you so much again for joining. It's really nice to see lots of familiar faces here on the call today, and yeah, catch up with everyone virtually.
So yeah, well, again, thanks Stephen, thanks Liam. Apologies for sending out the wrong Teams link at the start. That was my bad. We all found our way to the right room, so it's good. I might just stop the recording now.